Hi, and welcome to this introduction to MaKeyMaKey and Scratch. You are watching one of Per's tutorials on multimedia development, and today we'll look into Scratch programming, and we want to control the program with a very alternative keyboard. It can actually be anything, and in order to make it, we use a thing called a MaKeyMaKey. So without further ado, let's have a look at today's agenda and have a look at the thing called Scratch. Scratch is a programming language, and here it is. You find Scratch on this web page, and if you go or if you click on Create, you'll go directly into a new project where you can make a Scratch thing come alive. Now you see it wakes up. Here you see it programming bits. Here you see a figure, character, could be anything. It's called Sprite 1 because a sprite is like the thing we'd like to animate. But before we animate it, perhaps it would be a nice thing to have our sprite in some kind of environment. So if I click here, you can upload your own backdrops if you want to. You can paint one, or you can go to some of the pre-made ones. I think we should go into something fantasy-like. Nah, they're boring. They're not so fantasy-like. So space is more fun. Yeah, let's go to the moon. Now we have a character, and whatever is happening here is actually happening on the moon. So we have a stage here. We have our sprite. I think our sprite should have a name, so I will call him George. Yeah. Now he is called George, so it's more personal. Now we want to use the MaKeyMaKey in order to move our character, in this case. Or you can start your games in several ways. But in this case, I'd like to be able to press a button, say space or something like that. And when space is pressed, the figure should move in a direction that I decide. So if you look to the left, you can see all the programming bits. The top one is actually motion, so this should be used when you want to move something. But just to run through them, you can change looks, you can add sounds, you can use events, and we will return to that in a moment. Here you see controls. It's like code running forever of 10 times or whatever you want it to repeat. Then we have sensing. For instance, if you have two sprites or figures or whatever it is, if they clash together, then perhaps something should happen. They could say something or whatever. Here you have a little bit of math. You can compare values, you can add them, you can subtract them. This is handy if you want to have high scores and stuff like that. Here you have some variables, so you can define your own variables. That means that if you want to have a high score, it should probably be some kind of a variable. And my blocks, that's actually a thing where you can save the things that you want to use again and again. But let's go to motion, because I want to move my little character here. And I want him to move 10 steps when I press space. So now you can see that I have added the move 10 steps thing to the browser. And if I click on space now, you can see nothing happens. And I expected that. Actually, in order to tell the program that something has happened, you will use an event. Events are used in many kinds of programming language. It's every time a user does something to the screen or image or whatever they are looking at. So what we need is some kind of an event that will come up when when something is pressed. And this one, I don't know if how hard or not hard it is to read, but when you look at this, it actually says when space is pressed or the space key is pressed, and then we have something down here. So if I add this here, you can see that that if I press space, I mean, the figure will actually walk. So we are halfway there now. You can see that that this thing actually works. Just in order to tell you a little bit more about the kinds of movement you can make, you can take, let's see, what do we have here? We do have a lot of stuff. You can put it to a random position. You can say it should go to a certain XY position, and so on. So actually, in this case, we have something, and just in order to try one of the controls, you could say that instead of pressing 10 times, it should repeat this 10 times, and you can change this to 7 times, and the other one here could be 9, 12, or 99, whatever you prefer. I'll just say 7 here. So, and if I press space again, my character will move. So this is how you write your programs in Scratch. And of course, they can be much more complicated than this. But what we want to do in this video is actually to be able to control the figure by a MaKeyMaKey. So instead of pressing space on a boring keyboard, you'll be able to build your own prototype. And in order to do so, you actually need Scratch. So let's see how we use the MaKeyMaKey in order to move things in your Scratch production. Now the MaKeyMaKey is here in this box, and if we open it up, you can see that in this case it's a little bit messy, I guess, but this is actually a MaKeyMaKey. And if we put it here, I will tell you how it works. This thing here, what you see here, that is a red USB cable, and you need to tell the computer that you're using it. So there is a little thing down here, and you should add the here it is. You should add the USB stick or thingy into it, and now we need to add this one to the computer somewhere, and I hope that it won't crash, but I will go down to my computer and add the MaKeyMaKey. So I guess that it worked. You can see now that here's the MaKeyMaKey, and it is connected to the computer. So if we look at both the table and the browser, you should be able to see that it should move if we press space. Okay, one moment, because I have to, of course I have to enter my program, and if I press space here, now you can see that when I press space, I hope you can see it at least, then you see that the figure is moving, and right now it's almost on the edge. And then you may say, well, isn't that a little bit boring? Why do you have to use your fingers? And here we are very lucky, because if we look, and here I have to change to my cam. If we look in the box, we have tons of cables. Let's take them out and do something with them. The thing works, I think you may know this from physics. You have to connect plus and minus. So we could add a wire here, like that. And this is the shortcut. So if I do it like that, I would have a connection. And of course I would have to fire up my browser in order for it to work. It is not fired up yet. So we have to wait until that comes. And here you see another cable, and they're a bit messy, aren't they? Look like this. And then I put this one on space. So now you can see we have one on minus and one on plus. The one of them is actually on space. And if I have to, on my computer here, go into Scratch, and if I touch, you can see that the character moves. I have to catch him now. He's leaving the screen and we don't want him to. So here he is again. So that's how you do it. And here comes the fun part, because what if I connected this horse with one of the cables, and if I took a compass like this one, I don't know if it can, oh yeah, it can, and then you can see that I can move the figure with a very, very uncommon interface here, because when I use this, my character will actually move. So with a combination of Scratch and MaKeyMaKey, we'll just put it on. It will actually be possible for you to create very, very creative interfaces. And this is where this video stops, and where you should go and do your stuff and be very creative. And I think I'll have a cup of coffee, and perhaps, no, there is one thing more actually. Now we're at it, because when you look at Scratch that you see here, you have sounds, and you can add sounds to a video, and you can even record your own sounds if you want to, and then use them. So if you wanted to, you could take a guitar, play a sound, and then use it in your production. Or you could do a ton of other stuff, and actually whatever you want to do is more or less up to you. And I wish you good luck with your attempts to create a very, very alternative interface for the user. And by now you know that Scratch works when an event happens. You can control characters, or you can control your games. And we built the alternative interface instead of a keyboard like the one I have here. You can build any kind. You can have teddy bears, you can have balls, you can have wires, any kind of thing, as long as it can conduct electricity. You can use it for something, because the MaKeyMaKey works because you combine plus and minus. So when I do this and the thing actually works on the screen, well, in that case, it's actually good old physics. This is the same thing as this one here. So it's actually a little keyboard, and you define by yourself what the keyboard should do. So here I think I'll stop this video. Remember, as always, to like or subscribe to my channel. In this channel you will find video tutorials, easy introductions to code, and this is then the first of my videos, so you have to be a little bit patient. But that's it for today. Bye bye and see you later.